come here. You are big. You are big, big, big. Jesus Christ, I wish you guys could see this fight. Oh my God. That's a big, big fish. Big fish. Big, 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 big.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gramps Live Special Edition this week, presented by American Legacy Fishing on the Fishing with Gramps YouTube channel for the Everything Kayak Fishing Podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcast and Spotify. We're trying to get into that space to cover everything kayak fishing. And who more appropriate to follow up Mr. Russ Snyder's last week talking about his Bassmaster AOI than with a previous AOI, Bassmaster champion, all around good guy. And notice tonight, those of you listening to the podcast can't notice my hat, but I am wearing my epic Kayak Adventure Series hat because the new intro for everything kayak fishing is obviously me fighting a giant smallie caught at said Wisconsin River Fest. So no better way to kick off the season, episode 2 with Mr. Drew Gregory. Then we got a lot of live streams going on this week. Tomorrow night I'll be live with Chad Hoover, kicking off the first Catch 22 of the season for January. And then we turn right around on Friday and go live with the team kayak series, Mr. Gene Flukemaster Jensen and Michael Musgrove. So we're going to have a full week of incredible lives with awesome guests because this is what we have to do in the middle of winter.
Right. What
Unless,
else?
You're like somebody we know and fly out to Arizona and catch some fish.
Sorry, I'm scarfing down food here, but I just got off one pod and it's been a crazy day.
That's it.
I'm
of course,
that's it.
I told Drew I was trying to snipe him before everybody else got a hold of him. And of course, Mr. Shrenko, also Bassmaster champion, Mr. Smalley Talk himself had to get Drew because, like I told Drew, I was like, well, you go out west and you catch 9 out of 10 fish that are smallies. It's only appropriate that you go on the Smalley Talk podcast first.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I get it, but I stayed away. I didn't listen. I'll listen to it tomorrow while I'm at work. But, I wanted to be live and fresh with having Drew back tonight with yet another adventure. And I don't want to talk about results yet or anything, but it's funny, and I'll let you tell your story because the last few weeks, it's like, Bassmaster season's kicking off and finalizing all the events for Kayak Adventure Series, which we're definitely going to talk about here in a little bit. But, Drew found himself as like, we're kicking off the Bassmaster. I'll probably start, the season off down at Kissimmee. But that's not what happened. Drew, tell us your adventure.
Yeah, this is a good
one.
The
whirlwind of the last 10 days.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize I was like on the screen earlier. I'm just chowing down food. I was waiting. But anyway, I came from this podcast and I hit him up and said, it's all small. It's perfect. We'll go together. And he said they worked good for him earlier. So that's how it ended. But appreciate you now. You got me live earlier? Am I good?
Am I lagging, or please tell me it's not me on my end that's jacking up?
I could try a different Wi-Fi on mine.
Okay, yeah, because I'm not sure if it's me or you.
I'm back on. Let me try this one. How about now?
You sound pretty good. Anybody in the chat, let us know who you hear. Okay, they say I'm good.
What's up, everybody in the chat, by the way? What's up?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Anybody saying so to me? I'm probably got kids upstairs streaming stuff or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm lucky I don't have that problem anymore. But everybody says we're good. So yeah, go ahead and tell us about your little adventure, how it came to be, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a cool, very cool story. I'm never gonna forget. Thanks, Michael, for letting me know audio's better.
Okay.
Never gonna forget this one for sure. So I was just, I don't know when it was, November or sometime. I'm just get an email from Spirit Airlines and it said $40 flights sale, and I don't fly a lot, but I got to fly a few times, ICAST and a few other things. I got the Kayak Adventure Series and maybe want to fly the family in, to some where they're not there they don't have to be there the entire week. And my son would have to miss a bunch of school, he's in kindergarten. So I figured for $40, let me go check out and see what places they're flying, like Orlando maybe, or somewhere that is close to some of the stuff. So like Ocalapalooza, right?
Oh yeah.
ICAST for me. I wasn't even thinking about Vegas and Havasu. I was just checking the email. All of a sudden, Columbus, Ohio says $40 to Las Vegas. I said, that's pretty close to Havasu, because I'd kind of written that one off. It's far away.
Oh
Even
yeah.
though I was really excited about it because I have fished the Colorado River down in Yuma, Arizona, like maybe an hour and a half south. So I definitely was like interested in the event. I just knew it was a long shot, So I looked there and then I like started to plan it. I just quickly called Amanda Brannon, a couple people, Shane Lamont, just the people that I thought might be going and just see if there's any extra kayaks, any extra motors, see if there's any way, even if I could get the old kitchen pass, you know what I mean, to go do this.
Oh yeah.
I had to know if I could have something to borrow, and they all said they'd loan me whatever, Amanda had and Matthew Brandon had extra Torpedo. They said they would loan me if I ended up doing it, and because Matthew was driving to the event. So I knew I had some stuff lined up enough to like go ahead and approach this with Christina, my wife. So then I asked her, and she was like, well, didn't you see the family calendar? I was looking at my personal calendar, my personal forgot to click on the actual family one. And of course she says, well, that's our girls weekend. Remember, it's on the calendar. It literally says Drew's watching kids all weekend long, because my mother-in-law, it's her birthday weekend, and all the girls, my wife's aunt and sister-in-law and her, and just all the girls were doing a girls trip that weekend. So I was like, bummer. That would have been cool if I could have somehow flew out to Arizona and actually fished an event right in the middle of the cold Northeast Ohio winter. It would have been perfect if that could have happened, but it was not to be. So then I go on my Kayak Adventure Series podcast about a week later, and she comes down the stairs while I'm on live. You guys go back and watch it. And she goes, oh, by the way, that girls trip got canceled because one of the girls couldn't make that weekend work. And so she said, so you might be able to go to Arizona. And I was like, all right, so this is cool. I couldn't wait to get off that podcast to go talk to her and see like, what are the odds I could actually pull this off? And she said, yeah, and I looked for flights instead of Columbus. It's 2.5 hours away from me. That's a little tough, but for $40 a flight, I would have done it, obviously. So instead I looked for Cleveland, and Cleveland had it, Vegas and Orlando, few places in the country have cheaper flights than those cities, right? Because they're just destinations. So I think Frontier was running a special. It was like $160, $170 round trip to Vegas, which was like not bad at all. Think about it. If I could drive out to Dardanelle or Toledo Bend or Lake Fork for the championship or whatever, Grand Lake, I'm going to spend more than that in gas going to and from. So it's actually cheaper than a normal tournament that's kind of just further away from me. I get a flight for 100. So she said, go for it. And I said, I'll only go out there. I'll leave on Wednesday evening, or a time to leave on Wednesday evening. And I'll get there, with time to get stuff in order on Thursday, maybe get on the water a half day if I'm lucky, and then a whole day Friday. And then I fish the event, and I got a red eye back at midnight on Sunday after the awards. I got a red eye. It was perfect. I was like, I'll be back home on Monday for the kids and the family and all that. So won't be gone long. It's going to be short, quick. It'll just be a fun little getaway. And I just had this weird like feeling about this because like I said, I'd fished in Yuma, Arizona. It's further down, but it looks very similar. It was one of my favorite trips. And throwing a big Z-Man streaks behind Thule's and letting it swirl, and then pitching it to the next one, letting it happen until you see a big, largemouth come up and smash it. Didn't catch any smallies down there, I don't believe. But anyway, it ended up working out. Then I made a post to our local Kayak Anglers of Northeast Ohio group, just in our group Discord chat. Said, hey, anybody feel like going to Arizona and fishing this Bassmaster event with me? Because it'd be cool if someone was with me instead of by myself, right? And Jake Cook, one of the guys here, never fished a national event before. He's kind of wanting to learn a little bit too. He said, man, I'll go. He got it all worked out with his wife, and he said, I'll go. And I was like, cool, let's do it. I'd fished with him, met him one time before. We floated the section of river here close to my house, and with my kids and him and I was like, cool, let's go, man. And I got to know him a lot more on this trip. That was really cool. Real good dude. And so we were able to fly together out there, and I helped I made calls and got him a kayak and a motor, and get them all set up right. So Scott Stolman, thanks to Scott from Minnesota, was driving, let him borrow a kayak, and then the guys from Newport let him borrow a motor because they were already there at the event.
Yeah,
for the sponsor of this event now of the whole series. So that's kind of how we ended up there. And then we got there. We finally got in. It's a 2.5 hour drive probably from the airport from Vegas down to Lake Havasu City. We got in around 3 a.m. something like that, 2:30, 3 a.m. on after we finally get the rental truck and get driven down there. And then the next morning we had to get up early because people that were loaning us stuff had to get on the water for practice. So we just got 3-4 hours of sleep, got up early, met them, got all of our stuff together. And we were just so whipped and tired, but we just said, well, let's, we got a lot of rigging to do. Let's get things situated at the house. And then finally we got out and drove around, looked at some ramps. And I was obviously already focused on the river. I had one day basically, day and a half. I was like, I'm going to just drive around. Let's just look at the river. Let's check some water temps. Let's check all the accesses. If we have time to put in, we will. If we don't, we don't. And we never did. I caught one fish from the bank, though. Actually, it was kind of cool. I got one from the bank. But we didn't put in that day. So I had one day on the water on Friday, and I was going to float the whole section of river from the top end of our put in, the most northern. There's a highway there that crosses a bridge. We couldn't go beyond that. So I floated from there down to the interstate, which was like 12, 13 miles, something like that, maybe 14. And just looked in the water and started, seeing if there's fish there. And I saw five. There weren't many fish. I tell you that. It just looks just like nothing's there. It's just crystal clear. And you don't see fish. You don't see anything. I mean, you see some carp, some big carp, and then there's Jake in the chat in the comments there. I'm not logged in, so I can't pull in that comment, but the Jake, the fishing guy right there, he's saying the wind was whipping. It was rough. But so anyway, I floated down. He and I both went upstream for a little bit. We have one truck together, so you know how it goes, right? You ride the tournament with somebody, one truck. You kind of have to figure out what you're going to do. And he didn't know. We weren't really trying to we were trying to maybe almost divide and conquer. He can go somewhere else. And so that first day after he got on the water with me for on Friday. Second day we were there, went upstream a little bit. We checked out. I started seeing a few fish, and then I was like, well, now that I see some, let me see if I can catch them because they see me. And I caught a couple small ones, right at the bridge, a couple dinks. And then I saw a few good largemouth and a smallie. And I threw to the smallie and caught it. And I was like, okay, so you can catch them if they see you and you see them. And it was pretty deep there, like 12 feet or something where I caught that fish. So at least if they're deep enough.
And let me back you up just a second, because a lot of times these days when people say you see fish,
right,
you're eyeballing fish.
Oh yeah, no graph. Yeah, no graph,
No
electronics. I'm just
I do one more quick question. I'm gonna let you get going. You ended up in a shoalie. How did?
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell that part of the story. So
you got to tell that part because that's your boat.
Yeah, sorry. So I got Jake set up, and then I ended up not borrowing the stuff. Yeah, because once I knew I could go, I started then working on, well, let me get into a shoalie. Because obviously, I designed that boat. I'm comfortable with it. Yeah. That's when I'm glad you're doing a good job as a host. I'm glad you backed me up. So I talked to Steve Owens. I said, hey, I'm going to fly in for this event. I got some stuff I'm going to borrow. It should be fun. He was like, dude, that's cool, man. And, I told him I was going to try to borrow some stuff, and I'm looking for a way maybe even to get, a shoalie there. And he said that Joe McElroy he thought was going. So I said, perfect. Let me call Joe. And, it's same with the Kayak Adventure Series. If you guys need anything, if you need a boat, if you're flying in, if you need something extra, contact the tournament director. They can help you out with stuff. Yep. They can get you stuff. They know the local kayak dealers they might be working with. They know what's going on. So always do that, and we'll get you guys connected with anything. But he just happened to kind of off the cuff say, well, Joe's driving, and of course I'm in Ohio, Joe's in Alabama. So how's that going to work? Right. Well, I'm from Georgia, and I go to Georgia for Christmas with my family down there. My wife's from up here in Ohio. That's why we live here, right? That free babysitting with the grandparents and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Having the support system here with her side of the family. But we always go to, see my side of the family for Christmas. So I threw that shoalie on top of our SUV. I put all my black pack, my, all my gear there, my line, reels, rods, everything was there, my Torpedo and, 3 batteries, put it all in there. And we were driving down to, Georgia for Christmas. Well, 4.5 hours into the drive around Georgetown, Kentucky, just above Lexington, wife gets sick. She says, we just got to stop at a hotel now, All right, that's fine. Because we weren't feeling super great, but we thought we could maybe, make it down there and visit them. Well, next thing you know, we're there in that Holiday Inn Express for 3 days, for 3 nights, 4 days.
man.
She couldn't move. I mean, she was sick as could be. And so my kids were sick too. They gotten sick. I was probably feeling about the second best as all of us. One of the kids would usually be doing a little bit better than me. So I left my son with my wife one day and my daughter and I, because we had to get this stuff to Joe. And we knew we weren't making it all the way down to Georgia at this point. And he's just right there in Alabama. So I was going to just bring it over to him one day or something. We know we're not making it to Georgia. We're going back home. We're not going to be able to do Christmas with my family this year because of that. So this is like December 27th through the January 1st, basically, or something. We were like there and just stuck in Kentucky at some hotel. Nicest people ever. I mean, I'd never leave reviews, but that was an awesome Holiday Inn Express. They were like, treated us like family. They knew we were all sick. They were taking care of us. It was awesome experience, as good as it could be for being sick. So anyway, they Joe happens to own a house or fish and hunt camp in Kentucky around like the Cumberland River area below like Barkley. So he was way over there, which is like 3 hours and 45 minutes away. So I called him and I was like, oh wow, okay. So maybe I could just drive it over there to you. So I asked, my wife, she said, yeah, do it. I'll be okay to like hang in the room with, left my son there with her, took my daughter, strapped her in the car seat and drove, 3:45 one way, dropped off the stuff with Joe and, sat and chatted with him for a few minutes and then bolted back to the hotel to take care of her and the family until they all got better and we could leave back home. So he had all my stuff at that point. I mean, this is like,
oh, there we go,
December 29th or whatever it was. He had my stuff and I was all set. And then, yeah. So then we get there and what was the other thing you wanted me to follow up on if I missed something? Was that it? So that's kind of how I got my Sholi there. My own stuff.
Yeah. The key thing was making sure we talk about how you had your Sholi. So excellent.
It was cool. It was very cool how it worked out. And I said this on stage at the awards, like, I would do it. I mean, anybody, I think anyone in the kayak fishing community would probably do that for someone else if they had room to bring it. If I got extra spot on my back of my truck or trailer and you need extra kayak, of course I was going to I'll drive it for anybody, anywhere I'm going. And that's what's cool about this community. I see Drunkwood in the chat. So Drunkwood was right there, pretty close to that area. And he's talking about Elkhorn Creek. Definitely a good creek. Drunkwood, John King was the one who made the trophies, the AOY trophies that Steve and Ryan got last year for Team of the Year, and does good stuff over there. You guys give him a follow there on Instagram and whatnot. But anyway, he's right there in Kentucky, close by. And we get there. So that first day, Jake takes out, and I float the whole rest of the section downstream to the interstate just to look at it. It's very ugly. I mean, it's beautiful because you're in the desert and it's blue sky, but it's kind of like compared to the gorge that's below. If you go look at a satellite image right now, you'll see the gorge. So we put in at Needles, but the gorge starts at the interstate where I took out. So I was basically floating the ugliest, most nondescript piece of river in the desert. It was shallower. It was straight away. There's no curves. It's like blah as blah gets. I mean, seriously, there's no trees that fall in the water. It's blah. But the gorge from the interstate down to the first ramp we could get access to at the head of the lake was like another 14. Well, they actually took one away. I think it could have been more like 16 miles. That's the more attractive looking part of the river. It's like you're going through mountains, all this natural habitat and just cliffs and bluffs, and it's a little bit more windy. You got backwaters with tules, these big reeds they call tules out there, just giant reeds, tules, backwaters that are a little bit more staying for largemouth to be in. I mean, it just looks unreal, but I knew I didn't have enough time to find the fish in that area. It was like too much, you know what I mean? And I knew that if I could find fish in my section, which was the more nondescript kind of blah looking section, that I would probably have them to myself. And there were other anglers in that section of river in the area for sure. There was several others, but and they did decent in the tournament as well, but I don't think anyone really found like my fish. I mean, some people were definitely in that area and were fishing it as they saw them, but they obviously didn't find the fish or didn't have success, and it didn't really beat it up too hard, So anyway, that's one day I'm floating down. Jake took the truck back. I'm floating down on practice day on Friday, and I'm on the phone with Jake, just asking what's going on, what you doing, And all of a sudden I just looked down and I was like, oh my goodness, dude, giant school of smallies. There's like 15 of them right here. I just floated over them, and mind you, I haven't seen like I've just marked a few fish here and there, like smallmouth, and it's just mostly carp or nothing. It just looks like it's just cold. It's both things you don't want, cold and clear. I can handle cold if it's murky, and I can handle clear if it's hot and, warm, 65, 70 degree. Then I can catch them with moving baits, bait casting stuff, power fishing, Drew Gregory kind of stuff. But cold and clear now, it's like, yikes, 51, 50 degrees, 51, 52, 53 in that range. The river was a little warmer than the lake, a little, because we have a dam way upstream and it spit out water lower in Lake Mojave. So it's kind of coming out a little bit warmer and giving that water a little bit of a head start before it hits the environment, and starts cooling it down the cold desert nights. So I think that's why the river was like a degree and a half or 2 degrees warmer than the lake. And anyway, so I would also knew that was going to be a positive, you know what I mean? Like in the summer, the river's colder because it still comes out really cold from the bottom of Lake Mojave. So, and that's why it's a artificial trout fishery, but it's that dam's like 25, 30 miles upstream, but that still affects the cold. It still makes that water colder in the river in the summer. So in the winter, it works the opposite. There's a point in time where the lake's going to get colder than the river because of that. Right. And this was the time that happened. So the lake was actually, as far as a cold-blooded animal goes, a little bit warmer was nice, even though it was a couple degrees. That was nice to have that slightly a better odds of a fish being a little bit more active. But yeah, I stumbled on that school and I'd seen some other onesies and twosies here and there, And once I saw the school that size, I was like, man, I think I am going to, instead of winging it in the gorge on tournament day, just YOLO and just go down the gorge and try to find them. I was like, I think I'm going to try this here and at least catch these fish. And if I don't have success, I can turn around and go down through the gorge if I have enough battery power. So anyway, that's what I did, man. Day one, I went upstream. I can pull in some clips if you want to do it. But
I do have a question though, because this might be a
for
potential product plug for the guy who doesn't use any graphs and has his phone in the Yak Attack phone mount. What app or mapping are you using, Drew Gregory using, to mark your fish as you're finding them?
Oh yeah, I'm going to pull up the Omnia app for sure.
Yeah,
Omnia Fishing. Yeah, that's the time to use it. Actually, it's really, really good app. It even gives you the which go on the Omnia Fishing app right now if you're there, and go look at Lake Havasu and go up to the river and look at the water temperatures. Toggle on water temperature. Now you got to be a pro member. You know what I mean? You got to be a pro member, which isn't much at all. And actually, from now until the first KAS event, I believe they're doing, or maybe now until the end of the month, they're doing a free $50 gift card if you sign up with the KAS. We'll post that on KAS with the KAS code. I think it's just something, whatever, like /KAS or something. But I'll get it.
So be sure to check back after this for Drew and them, because the Kayak Adventure Series and Omnia Pro are working together, and you can get a discount code. But you know, old Gramps uses it while he's at work or while he's not busy looking for potential places to fish, even around here this time of year. And I've got the Garmin's, I've got all the mapping, but this app is really, this has some features on it that even my mapping software doesn't. So y'all be sure to check it out.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Let me see. You might even have the code somewhere. I can pull it up. But anyway, we'll get it for you guys. Just follow along with us on the Kayak Adventure Series, and we'll post that code because I don't see it right now. But it was awesome having that app for sure. I learned, and I was already. So what's funny is I have old school like in my brain, and now there's technology that can kind of almost like solve everything a little quicker. But I already knew the water was going to be a little bit warmer up there because of that tail race. And even though it was 25, 30 miles below, but the Omnia app confirmed that. When I clicked on water temperature, it confirmed that it was warmer than the lake and by several degrees. So that was awesome. And then I used that, drop waypoints. You could add a picture with those waypoints. So I took pictures of fish in the water on the way down, and which grabbed the GPS coordinates, and I would put it on the waypoint as well. So anyway, I fish upstream. I'm going upstream from the launch on day one. And as I'm going up, it takes me longer than the 30-minute run time to get to my spot, right? So as I'm going up, I'm hugging a bank that I didn't hug and look at on the way down, because on the way down, you can only be on one bank or the other, right? I'm just scanning, looking in the water. I don't want to catch the fish. I just want to see the fish. Like I said, I did catch one. just to prove I could like catch them, right? And when I see them, but I'm just looking, and so there's one bank that I'm going up. I didn't look on the way down, and as I'm going up, and it's starting to get daylight enough where I can see in the water, and all of a sudden I see a smallie on this riprap bank, and I was like, okay, I probably need to stop since it's already lines in time. It was like 7:32 or 33. I was like, let me stop and just fish this bank a little bit since I saw one, because when you see one, trust me, it's not the only one in that area. There's more. They hang out. That fish is on that bank for a reason. So I actually end up. I'll add this video file, and you can pull it in. Ended up going to see, this is day number, see, Havasu, day 1. Here we go. Whoops. This is fish number 1. Let's see. Sorry, day. Where is it? I'm looking at my folder. Sorry, guys. Here it is. Day 1, first bass. .mp4. So you can add that in. So I'm just randomly just casting and swimming a Z-Man Goby. It's on 8-pound straight braid SX1, Sunline SX1 braid. And I'm just kind of moving kind of quick, looking down, you can see me looking down, see if I see any fish. And I got bit. And I didn't know this fish was there, so this is like a bonus. I already know I've got the school to fish later, you know. Stay on. And that was like a 15 something. So, no giant, but fish number 1.
There we go.
So, I finished scoring it. Number 1, 15 and a quarter.
Ooh, gorgeous bass.
Yeah. That was really the smallest one. I mean, other than that final fish I caught. It was the smallest
the one that I was so tempted to start texting you. Did you get 5? Did you get 5?
I know some people.
I'm not gonna jump in ahead. I know you'll keep us all in suspense.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, I was posting as I caught them, so I really didn't have it until the last 20 minutes, which we'll get into that. So let's see, day 1 fish number, first one
Parker Fishing says so he does own a spinning rod.
I do apparently own a spinning rod.
I did see the picture that was posted from the house with you holding it.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I'll have to pull in that picture. If you don't look, it's on my story right now. You should go watch it. The SoCal boys that I stay with Shane Lamont and the crew from SoCal, they took a picture of me. I was so dejected rigging up that spinning rod and actually like realizing I've got to use it in this tournament because I love my casting stuff, and that's kind of, you know, my MO. And which, by the way, I got I was using prototype casting rods at this event from Yak Rods. I'm working on a signature series rod with them.
Oh, okay.
And the prototypes were awesome, and I caught fish on them. They were fantastic. So I'm excited to talk more about that at some point. But whenever we finally get it out on the market, which will be later, maybe this year. But this is I get up to my school of fish, my waypoint, and I'm going slow, just working my way up, right? And I don't know exactly where they were. It was, you know, windy that day when I saw them and went over them. They're somewhere in this area if they're still there. And you see that little disturbance that was on the water right then? I don't know if it's streaming. Hopefully it's streaming clear for you guys, or clear enough. Watch this little disturbance up here just off to my shoulder. See it right there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Up to your right.
So you can tell this is like 2-3 feet of water, 2.5, 3 feet.
So clear.
And they were here because it's a western bank. It was shallower and shallower. You think, dude, wintertime fishing, you got to go deep. You know what I mean? Like people just think deep and they're hugging the bottom. On a river, the water temp's the same and the upper water column and lower. It's basically the same. You know what I mean? So they don't have to like go down deep to get warm. Well, you know what I mean? They actually do the opposite. They went shallow to sun. The sun started hitting that bank, and they liked that whole bank for a ways out to the middle was just pretty shallow. And there were some depressions and kind of some algae, grassy type stuff that might warm up pretty good. They would sit on the sand. They would just kind of warm it up. That's all they were doing. And this western bank here is protected by the wind. So you got wind protected bank, which lets it warm up better. And it's a western bank, which is getting more sun, and it's shallow. So they can feel the heat. If they're down deep in the 20, 30 foot hole, which there were some deep holes in that section. Think about it. They're not going to feel the sun. It's so deep down there, really not getting the warmth. And they wanted that warmth because this is as cold as it gets in the desert. They wanted it bad. And that's why they were up shallow actually. So it was kind of cool. But that disturbance on the surface, guys, that is the school of smallmouth hitting my line where it's going into the water, like a like a bluegill will do. If you ever seen a bluegill hit your line, or bass have even done it before, and it's coming through and you're just burning a chatterbait and your line's just hitting that, breaking through the surface. They were crushing the line. So at that point I knew I was in the right area and my waypoint was accurate, and I picked up speed a little bit, and because you want to get that bait into that school quickly when they're fired up hitting your line. So I'll back up and you guys can watch it again and see that line just kind of.
So are you more swimming this with some speed, or are you like fishing it really slow? You said the water temps were in the 50s?
Yeah, 51, 52, got up to like 53 something maybe. And here I am bringing it faster and faster, trying to get it into the school now. And I was just swimming it right here because I wanted to get it into them when they were fired up.
Yep.
And then, of course, once I got it close enough, one hammers it because they're all competitive in a school.
Yep.
And then I brought her. Thanks, Tony. I'm seeing all the stuff. Yeah, I was using the SX1 Sunline. Thanks, Hank Veggie and Fishing. Thanks, buddy.
Yep, we've seen Martin Hughes, Bass Lums Fishing.
Southwest Indiana. Yeah, there we go. And I'm just not using a net as usual. I just grab, usually single hook baits, just kind of grab them. Calvin Johnson, dude, I still have your freaking GoPro because all that happens. I still have to send this guy a GoPro. I feel horrible. I'm probably going to have to send you a Kayak Adventure Series hat and some extra stuff with it now. But anyway, he won one on Alex Rudd's podcast. So that's the first fish there. And it was, second fish because I caught that bonus fish. And I'm kind of scrubbing to where I hold it up so you guys can see it. There we go.
It's gonna go 16, clear that water is.
Yeah.
Out
of my school. And if it streams good and clear, I don't know if you guys are getting as clear as I am, but you can see them swim down, swim away.
Oh yeah,
everywhere.
I mean, that is incredible.
Yeah, it is very hard to get these fish to bite. They were very spooky, which is why we all struggled, in the lake and in the river here. And you're probably thinking, oh, you struggled? Well, yeah. I mean, I won the tournament, but it was a serious grind.
Well, anybody who watched the leaderboards, I mean, it's like every fish mattered. I mean, every single fish. It was incredible.
Yep. So my third fish, I went straight back to the school. Like, I didn't want to let them rest. I wanted to get back in there as fast as I could, and I got it queued up. I went back, but what I did is I did switch to a Yak Rod spinning rod that Tandy from Yak Rods gave it to me while I was there because I knew I needed extra spinning stuff that I didn't really bring with Joe. So she gave me that one, and I tied on Z-Man Streaks 3.75 on a finesse bullets. And now I want this little small, just like a, soft plastic jerkbait in there. So I motor back up, I throw in there, and you can start to see I start to creep up, and I see some of the fish right in front of me. There's my tree that was actually my mark, that tree there. And I realized some of the school didn't go back to the spot. They were actually right in front of me. So I cast that a couple of fish in front of me. They don't chase it. You'll see. I'm gonna zip forward here. So I casted some fish in front of me. They weren't buying it because they'd seen me. But I went back to the school. Yeah, because not every fish from the school broke up. And then sure enough, I get one to bite. And is this the?
Look how clear that water is.
Yeah,
that
I
is
should have.
Incredible.
Yeah, you can see other fish all over. See how they follow it? Which I should back up and show you guys how many fish were following that first fish because that was unreal. Let me get it to where I landed it here. There we go. So that was number 2. And number 3. Or no, sorry, number 3. That was 2 out of the school, but my number 3 fish overall. Yeah. Catch every fish out of the school. I was like, I want to catch every fish out of the school.
Oh,
I did mess up. I should have got. I'm gonna bring back the other video file number 2 because you can see in this video, if it's streaming clear enough for you guys, you can see about 12 big smallies following my fish in. We were talking. I was reading comments, but on this fish here, that first one again, when I fight this sucker in, you guys watch this. Oh, y'all full screen, smart. It's like you've done this before. Can you guys still hear me? Oh, you can still get me the audio, but watch how many smallmouth are right here following this guy. Look at that wolf pack just following him in.
Holy smokes. Now, for anybody who's listening to the podcast later, you can see these videos on my YouTube channel, Fishing with Gramps, and then you can see how clear
Look at
and you
all.
can see the fish that we're talking about. It's incredible.
I've paused it and counted 12. One time
Look
I counted
how
12.
many fish. Wow.
about, like I said, 3 feet deep. There was a hole right there, a little depression they would sit in that was 5 feet deep, but they weren't actually really in the deepest part of that. They were more shallow. They would move up to the sand and kind of sun themselves and sit. So that was that fish there. That was number 2. Let me get that one out of the screen.
Now, was your strategy, because this is a good question, was your strategy going into it just to kind of cover water and find fish? Because I know you had talked early about maybe just doing a float, but it seemed like once you found a school, that's what you were going to try to target the whole time and just keep finding that, fishing that school that was moving around.
Yeah, I mean, my strategy was to, basically just fish the waypoints I had where I'd seen fish and fish. You don't know where the ones that are on the bank, they're a little bit bigger usually. The school was like 15 to, 17 and a half, 18 inches, maybe max. Biggest one I caught out of there was 17 and a half. They were kind of all that same size, but the bigger ones, any ones you found that were more like on the bank were generally a little bit bigger, but like these more like loners, and I knew in that one, I had like a mile and a half of bank that it was all on that side, right in this zone. And there were a lot of fish there. I like the whole river I floated, there was like nothing much at all. So if you practice the river, unless you were right there, you probably didn't fish the river for the tournament because you didn't see anything and you didn't catch anything. Right. If you didn't do the whole thing and happen to zip over this one little section, it just didn't look that good. And so my plan was to, fish move fast, but blind cast that bank because I don't know where they're staged on the bank. They were just kind of randomly up that bank, and we're probably moving all the time to different little areas. The school was just in this particular depression. Like the water got super shallow, like a foot shallow. And then it didn't, then it like after a foot, it dipped down to like 5 feet. And then in a little swell, like a little hole. And then it gradually slowly went up with sand up to back to like 2 feet. And they would just be in that 2 foot range right on that sand and sometimes on that algae stuff. So my plan was to milk that school for all it's worth and then blind fish. I'm not like fishing fast because I know the water's cold and I can't fish as fast as I want to fish, but I still want to swim something and fish with straight braid on that spinning rod if I can. And so I swim in the gobius, which worked good on 10 killer, right? Up the Illinois River in that clear water where I caught one of my good smallmouth at the championship last year. Swim in the gobius, slow because the water was cold then. I know they'll hit that in cold water. I know a bass is a bass is a bass. Okay. Even though I had been to Yuma and this river system one time before and had a little experience there, it was still a totally new world to me, a whole new environment. But I know, I've been to the Amazon, I caught fish there. I've been to, kind of all over. And I learned one thing, like fish that are in rivers or lakes, they kind of act the same. Any predator fish kind of acts and stages the same. Yep. No matter if it's an arowana down in the Amazon or a peacock bass or a catfish down there, these predator fish use the current the same. So I'm not like too freaked out that I'm going somewhere that's so foreign to me. You know what I mean? I think people thought this guy coming from Ohio, he's done some good in the past or he's fished some tournaments. He's not going to figure this out. It's a total different, world. Well, that's not true. I do know bass.
In a river is a smallie in a river.
Exactly. And I knew that they use flats to sun themselves when it's cold. And I was looking on that nondescript. That's exactly what I was looking for. And I had it all marked on my map, and Google Earth Pro on my pins. I was looking for that I was looking for a school of fish that I knew was going to be stacked up somewhere in that section of river trying to get warm. I knew it. And I just obviously happened to find it. It just worked out.
And I know you probably have that gobius sitting there, so they're going to want to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Fish this is the fish number. It's 17 inch or fish number 4. I'll pull it on the screen right now. My battery, my Nocqua, I forgot to prepare my Nocqua on my GoPro got low and I tried to start back up and it kind of was giving a weird little glow right there. And then it cut off on me on this fish, but that's the only one that jumped the whole time. But I get most of it on video here before the GoPro just died. You can see other smallies, like if you kind of pay attention on a lot of these videos, you'll see them, which I think Bassmaster's going to post some of these. There's a smallie right there in the front of my kayak swimming right in front. And
that is just incredible.
See, there's one in front of him that just swam away.
See, dude, you guys are just my inspiration. Every time I have to stop after I get home from work and I got to go grab those kettlebells and get my workout in, being able to come and do this, you guys are really getting me there. I am so stoked for this year. Oh,
Yeah, it's exciting, and it's gonna be a great year. We're already getting into it, man. That video there is me after my GoPro died in the middle of that fight right there. It just couldn't handle the power just on its own, so it died. But I held the fish up so you guys can see it.
Cutter.
17.
Gorgeous.
Out of the school. 17 inches out of the school. So I caught 4 out of that school. I had the 1 on the bank and 4 out of the school, which gave me my 5. And my 5th fish was right here. This is my fifth one out of school. So I went back, with that Streaks 3.75, but they wouldn't eat it. So all they kept biting was that Gobius. That's all. And I was using a different color than I did in practice, even though I actually never threw at this school, in practice. I just rolled over them and marked them. I never threw at them. So you can waste a lot of time fishing when you could see the fish in clear water. Why do you need to practice, by catching them? And once you catch 1 or 2 and you kind of figure out what they're going to bite, you could be more efficient flying through clear water and just looking and marking, structure or fish, and then catch them in the tournament. So I'm kind of ducking down, being as low and stealthy and quiet as I can right here. And I'm not bending down much, but I felt like every little bit of I could go down and be low and still was helpful, because there's just no current right now and no wind. They weren't pushing water. You can see the water line. It was down, it was low. And then finally I got this one to bite the Gobius. And this was the last one I got out of the school. Watch how many are following this one. Here comes another one. Here comes another one.
Oh, look
here
at
comes
that.
another one. And here comes another 17
It's a train of smallies. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah, but everywhere right here in this one little, I would say,
Number 5.
like the size of a free throw lane basketball, a little bit bigger than that, 2 free throw lanes. Maybe it was like the whole 3-point line, like that kind of amount of space. And this is my limit fish that you heard me just say. And I knew that was going to be huge in this tournament. So,
yeah, 100%.
So there we go.
Gobius.
See, this is why you get cameras, guys, because you film your adventures and share them with other people. And this is how we get more people into the sport, just by just by doing what Drew's doing here. That is incredible.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's so much fun. It was such a challenge, so challenging, but so rewarding at the same time. when you catch fish in water that clear. This is the last fish I caught. My 6th fish. I did lose one on the Streaks 3.75, but so I only had 7 bites. I caught 6. So this is the last one. I went up to where like a little cut came in from some sort of sand dredging company. They have a little pond back there that's they're dredging or whatever, but it's a little cut, so it has a little bit of stain to it. You can kind of tell it's a little bit murkier here, but right up there where I'm throwing is even more stain. There's like a milky color, I'll call it, that meets with the clear water. And I saw a smallmouth right there, so I'll back up again. I'll set the stage. So you might have even heard me say it. Like I saw one. I crept up and I saw one, and I was like, I think it's a smallmouth. So I threw, because I was throwing like a spinnerbait in the stained water a minute ago, but then I just picked up the Gobius because I thought I saw one, and I just threw at it real quick, way up ahead, and let it drop down because she's sitting right on the point there, And I just started. Whenever I see him, I would work on the bottom like a goby, like a river darter would be on the bottom. River darter looks just like a goby, so the Gobius is perfect imitation. I'm just
now, are you kind of swimming it up off the bottom, or are you like dragging it along the bottom?
Just dragging it and hopping it like a goby, kind of moves along quick and darts, like a river darter, just kind of darts to one, area to the next. So then I got, and I was like, I thought she saw it.
Flash. This is probably Nicole.
So
16
and this had another one following it too. There was 2 here, so now I know there's like, several fish at this spot. So you can see the friend following it right there.
Friend looks a little bigger.
Anyway, that was fish number 6, and I think it was like a 3/4 inch coal, maybe.
Now, did you fish all the way up to lines out on day 1, trying to keep getting upgrades, or were you pretty happy with knowing a limit was going to mean everything, and you wanted to save some for the next day?
I actually was content with once I left the school when I had 5 fish. I was
PB&J.
I don't even know if I threw in there again.
Okay.
I don't think I even threw in the school again. I think I left
a little bit different look
because I knew I had like 82 3/4 inches.
Yep.
So I left because I wanted the rest of those fish for the next day. I wanted everything out of there.
Go hit other banks, other places, maybe getting lucky to get a bigger fish.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
And I actually, what's crazy is I posted that limit at 10:30. That was I was in the lead that right away. I looked at the standings and I was like, wow, I'm in the lead by a good bit. And so at that point, I knew why just keep burning stuff. I actually went downstream, back down through under the interstate bridge, and went 5 miles down the gorge. It was beautiful down there. I wanted to go explore it. I didn't have a chance during practice. So at that point, I just drove all the way down there, had enough battery power, drove all the way back up, and just explored. I saw one spot that had a couple smileys, and it was real windy, but just gorgeous. Just nothing like worth, better than day one, which is great because now I knew not to waste my time on day 2 down there because I'd seen it, didn't think I could really figure it out.
In the back of your mind, should I be doing this? Yeah,
exactly. So I knew I at least crossed it off my list, which was great. I could focus all on, because I spooked a lot of fish on day 1 on some banks in some areas. I didn't see them when I was going down there in practice because it was so windy by the time I was going down in the afternoon, and I just didn't see them. There was more fish there than I realized, but not in the school. The school had the same amount, but just along that whole 1.5 miles of bank. There was even largemouth. I saw like a 5-6 pound largemouth and some 2-3 pounders, but the majority of them were smallies. So on day number 2, I went to the bank where I caught that fish. I started on that same bank where I caught the fish on. Let me see, find this file here. Day 2. Fish number 1. Here we go. It's second cast, man. My whole strategy is get a limit at this point. Just get a limit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably have a good chance to win. So I'm motoring. Let me zip fast to where it lines in time here. Oh, I'm already past that. Right about here somewhere. This is my second cast of the tournament. I'm just turning. Fix the thing. Oh, come on. Sorry, guys.
It's all good.
I don't know how it went back. So it just hit 7:30. Why is it doing that? It's acting funny for some reason. All right. So it just hit 7:30. I made one cast right here, looks like, and then maybe this is the cast or catch it. Yeah, this is the first cast. Okay, I'm bringing it in, and then I throw another cast, second cast. I catch my biggest fish of the tournament, 17 3/4. This is a bonus fish because I didn't know. I found these fish on day 1 when I just randomly was going up the river, and I looked down and was right where the rocks met the sand. That riprap met the sand down in about 5 foot of water. I would see them, and so I stopped and fished and caught that first 15 1/4 on day 1. So now I'm starting here just because I know there were some fish in this area. Second cast. Come on, dude, stay on. And I knew I needed as many bonus fish as I could get because I wasn't sure I could get any fish out of the school,
Oh, yeah.
So, and I got to... Pretty good one. Make sure my battery doesn't die on us. I got 12%. Good one, dude. Please stay on. Stay peg. But anyway, this was a good one, man. 17 3/4, and a great way to start day 2.
Yeah, everybody says it looks so fishy, but
no.
For everybody else that was there.
No, guys, this does not look fishy compared to everything else in Lake Havasu. Trust me, this is the most blah-looking. No way that just freaking. It's the blah-looking bank you've ever seen. It's a straightaway. There's no trees in the water. There's nothing. It's just sand. Once that rock hits about where I'm floating right now, out in the middle of the river, it's all sand all the way till there's no wood. There's nothing but this little bit of rock, and like I said, no undercuts, no bends, nothing. It's straight. The whole thing from Needles all the way down to the interstate is just straight river in a big valley. Now, once you get under the interstate, it has some bends to it. It's a giant mountains. It's like the most insane looking thing you've ever seen. Tules and backwaters, and it's crazy. But let's see if I have the fish here. Oh, I've already let the fish go. I was gonna try to get that part where I scrub to the part where I hold it up. There we go.
Yeah, there it is.
Literally my second cast, 17 3/4.
Gorgeous. I love those fish. Oh,
yeah. So
Jake is saying that out of 111 anglers, 11 had limits on day 1, only 6 limits on day 2. You talk about some tough fishing.
All right, fish. Yeah, for sure. Fish 2 on the second day. I went back to the school, tried a TRD crawls. They would not eat a Ned rig TRD crawls in that school. So I finally switched back to the Gobius. I waited. I took a little break, let them kind of reset again. I was like, man, picked a wedgie right there. Got to do that. And then just kind of got one to bite. And I was like, sweet.
Got one. I have no idea how.
I've fished the school for a little while and without success, so that's why I was like shocked. And you can see some following it again. You got lots of followers here with this fish. And then, yeah, man, it's hard for me to be patient to fish a spinning rod. You can see the fish following it. I mean, they're all over.
Oh yeah, it's like hurry up and let me measure this and catch this other one.
I know. So, anyway, that's that fish. Probably, I don't know, 17 or something. Eventually, when I get her in here.
Now, one of my favorite things is everybody loves to comment on your sunglasses.
Yeah, for sure. Those are like the Boomtowns from Smith's. Boomtown from Smith Optics.
It's like, is Drew going ski boarding or what?
Yeah.
No, he's looking into the water and catching smallies.
There we go.
All right, guys, 16 on the dot.
Oh, gorgeous.
There we go.
So that was that one. So then I got, I don't know, eventually I went upstream and caught. GoPro wasn't running on. So actually Jake was next to me. He's in the comments. He has some video of me from his cell phone because I actually hooked up right next to him, and I'll pull in me holding up a fish. Yeah, here it is. Here's the one where Jake was right next to me. He saw this, got it on his phone a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And
all right, just caught a 17 and a quarter, number 3. Sorry, GoPro wasn't running, but Jake got some of the fight with his, he was right next to me with his phone. So 17 and a quarter. Thank you, Jake, for getting some of that. Let's let her go.
Nice.
Beautiful fish.
That was cool. And then, let's see what else we can show. And then I'm going to try to, I hope my battery doesn't die. I can always get the charger, but, I'm probably wrapping up, I know, anyway. And then the fish.
Oh, you take as much time as you want because I want to make sure we talk about Kayak Adventure Series as well. Then but I'm enjoying every bit of this scenery as well.
Then I'll get my, let me hang on. Let me play something. I'll get my charger here in a second. I'm trying to figure out which one it is. So I get another fish. I end up getting 4 fish. Okay, that was number 3. I caught a 4th. And then on the 5th, this is what's interesting now. On the 5th fish I had on, I'm trying to find it because it's painful. Here we go. Lost fish.
Oh.
12. This is the one I lost at 12 p.m. Jake was right next to me when this happened as well. He was pulled out his phone and got some of this on camera too. Where he thought he was filming the winning fish. I'm sure you were, Jake. I thought we were. I'm literally, he's like he's just to my right, kind of following, just trying to talk to me a little bit because he wasn't having a ton of luck, and he'd already only caught 1 fish on day 1. And so anyway, just kind of chilling. And next thing you know, bam, got bit. Fish on. And then bringing it in, I think I'm winning the tournament here. It's like 12 o'clock noon. I know this is my 5th, and it's like 17 inches.
It's number 5.
Yeah, Jake, I agree, man. I thought that was it, dude. It was beautiful fish.
Oh, shoot, don't jump. Maybe it might be 17. Oh, shoot, she came off.
Oh.
No.
And I can just see her right there. You know what I mean? Like swimming right below me. I'm like, no.
Oh, man. That could have been like a winning fish.
It was frustrating. So
I know that has to hurt. Man. Like you said, it's right afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure as the minutes and hours went on.
Oh, it was painful, man. Painful. Very painful. I mean, I knew I was probably going to catch a check even with 9, and be 5th or 4th or 5th place probably.
You didn't fly all the way out there just to.
No. I wanted to get that last fish. But then I go upstream, I kill like 2.5, 3 hours, and I come back to my school. I'm like, I've got to get one more fish to bite out of the school. Come on, fish. So I end up going back to the school, and then I hook up again. So fish number 5, winning fish. You can see the light is getting lower here. It's 2 something on this bank. It's already getting lower. Picking wedgies again. What's new? And then I get one to bite again out of that school, as you see right here. Just hopping it.
Just working the tip, hopping
just
it.
Barely hopping on the bottom.
Yeah.
Just right where I know they're at. Just kind of barely moving it so it kicks up some sand and dirt. Like a river darter. And the next thing you know, eventually, I should trim this clip up. I always like to show the cast, though. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, 100%.
all right,
Come on, stay on. Oh yeah, stay on, please. Oh no!
just comes off out of nowhere. Just came off. I hadn't lost many at all on that bait. So that sucked. So that was not cool. But then eventually I get to, I was so frustrated then, my power died on my Nocqua GoPro. I didn't care, but I got, had enough power just to hold it up. The final fish, I just went to that stained area, you know, with that, that little sand dredge area.
Yep.
And threw a jig on the bottom, soaked it on the bottom because I caught one there during practice in that same kind of stained water. So I just I'm going to go back there and just milk that area. I caught that smallie there off the point on day one. I know there are fish there. I caught a 16.5 largemouth there earlier that day. I was like, I've got it. Now that I've let that area rest, let me go and, you know, fish it again. So then where is this? I held up, right here. So I at least got a shot of the winning fish, what ended up being the winning fish.
There it is.
All right, guys, this is the biggest, smallest fish I've ever caught in my life. 14.25, I believe. Maybe the winning fish. We'll see, but it's 5 for me.
There it is.
That was awesome. There you go.
We were in the Freedom Squad chat with the leaderboards off, and it's like, oh, come on, Drew, find one more.
Yep. It was
It
crazy.
is really cool.
It was very cool. Anyway, that was the deal, man.
That is really,
So
really amazing.
the fun thing was that on the way back, I was debating whether or not to give this trophy to Joe McElroy to drive back, or if I should take it on the plane, and if they would maybe charge me, because, you know, they're picky about that stuff. And these airlines like Frontier, they want to charge you for everything. So I ended up actually taking it, and they didn't charge me, which was cool. And then Jake and I were trying to get lucky and sit together. We didn't want to pay the extra money. We just were going to move to 2 open seats, and it was a full flight. So he was in the back, the very back, next to the, you know, the back of the plane, the last row next to the lavatories, and where all the, you know, flight attendants are, you know, grabbing the stuff and drinks, and always back there. And one guy said, "Hey, you came in the plane with that guy with the trophy. What's that all about?" And Jake told him what we did and what happened. And then when we landed, they went on the loudspeaker and they said, "And congratulations to Drew Gregory for winning the Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship and defeating 110 other anglers." And it was like incredible how much detail they knew. And I was like, so I told Jake, I was like, "Dude, you must have said something to somebody." And he told me that's what happened. That was cool. But I wish we would have had that on video, Jake. That would have been really cool to hear that. And the plane, most of them we were sleeping because it was a red eye, but there was enough people where almost like about half the plane was like, "Yay," like claps. That was kind of cool. It's not every day you can fly into a tournament and then get fortunate enough to carry the trophy back on the plane. So I decided I had to do it, even if they were to charge me. And that's what we did. So
yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So for those who haven't seen the Z-Man Gobius, do you have yours sitting there?
I do. This is the baits, the built-in. It's got the weight built in. They come in a 3/8. They come in a half and a 3/4. So I was using the half most of the time. I got dog hair on it too. Jeez. I was using the half, but I used the 3/8 on second day in that shallow bank with that bank that I was fishing with. You guys saw with that school. Because when you use the 3/8, you think like the wintertime and deeper, and you need to like get down and use heavier, but that means you got to bring it faster, because now it's like sitting on the bottom and ticking. You can't swim it as slow if it's heavier. So I actually went down to 3/8 for the you know, that bank specifically, mainly because I knew there was fish on it because I'd seen them and you know, caught some on day one, and I wanted to be able to crawl it slower. Now when I'm blind fishing up the bank and I knew that fish were on that bank, I don't know where they're going to be. Like the school, I knew right where they were, and on the bank fish, they just kind of were like just anywhere on that bank, they would just move from day to day. So you got to blind fish those, just long casts. And 8-pound SX1 Sunline with a 1/2 ounce or even a 3/8 ounce Gobius, you can launch it on that 7-1 like spinning rod. And you needed that launch to be able to get so far ahead they don't see you in cover water. So I would just kind of swim it, let it kind of tick the rocks at the bottom a little bit, but not like hopping it like I was super slow in the school, just waiting for them to come over there. And because I don't know where they were, I just needed to cover water. So I'm wanting it kind of like, you know, medium speed, just letting it get right near the bottom and waiting for one to eat, and then keep moving forward and just keep that torpedo on a low speed where the next cast is going to cover new water. So that's what I did. And then just covered that 1.5 bank until I got enough bites. So that was pretty cool.
That is
But,
incredible.
Yeah, that's a good bait.
Tell us your schedule coming up. You've got, man, you're going to be busy. So you've got your first event, the Kayak Adventure Series down in Florida coming up.
Yep. Before that, I've got Bassmaster Kissimmee. I'm going to be at that one.
Kissimmee coming up first, and then so I want to get into like a whole lot of the details with the Kayak Adventure Series this year too. But like I said, I know your phone's on charge, so obviously I will have you back on many times this year as I can get you, because we want to promote, for those who are in the Midwest. I know you and me and Achigan and Hook Life and several other people are going to be at the Fishing Expo in Ohio, and I'm actually coming over there to meet you to pick up a kayak
that's right.
That Kayak Adventure Series so graciously gave away.
Right.
I won it in an Alex Rudd raffle, and my former affiliation with Old Town is always awesome. So I'm sure we'll find something useful for another beautiful Old Town Sportsman 120 in some of the creeks around here, because I'm actually wanting to work on getting back into paddling and doing some of our creek and river adventures the old way. My youngest son loves to fish that way. So I've got a bona fide RS 117. And with this kayak that I'm going to pick up with you in a couple weeks, then he and I are going to start hitting the creeks again together and probably start doing some camping and, kind of go back a little bit, because with all the technology and everything we have, it's sometimes fun just to get in a kayak and do it the old school way.
It is, man. I love it. Obviously. The Kayak Adventure Series, after I do Kissimmee Chain, where Joe McElroy, thank you so much, he's driving my kayak back with his stuff, and he's going to meet me at the Kissimmee Chain with all my stuff. So I'll get it back there. I'm actually driving down to Florida for that event, but I'm bringing all the Kayak Adventure Series Ocalapalooza stuff with me in that trailer that we're going to give away, that almost $10,000 trailer from Modern Buggy RV, which is the Angler of the Year prize, one of the parts of that prize package. So all of it will be there, so you guys can see that trailer at every event, and I'll use it to transport stuff. And then I'm flying back home for 2 weeks, and then flying back down so I'll leave my truck down there over there at Dustin Hoy's place in Silver Springs.
Oh yeah, we're going to see the guys from Raccoon Creek Outfitters as well out at the expo.
Yeah, the fishing. Yeah, by the way, I'll be at the Fishing Expo in Columbus for Friday only. So if you guys want to come see me,
you're going to be there Friday. Okay,
Friday only. I'm not even sure if they have a seminar time on Friday for me. I'm taking my kids to Paw Patrol Live on Saturday, so can't make it there on Saturday this year. Just Friday. But if you're going
to be there Friday, that's my day off. I might have to. But if not, I know you said you would leave it with Dustin.
I'll leave it. Yeah, I'll leave that kayak. I might be able to pop in there Saturday morning, like for the first hour or something.
Okay.
So before I leave, but because I'll stay Friday night probably, and then leave.
Okay.
Saturday morning.
Yeah,
early.
Jake said that JT needs to get into a shoalie. I want to actually try one, because again, I'm trying to lose weight. Because I want to do all these kind of things. So I definitely need to get in one, paddle one around, and test it out too. Because
good boat.
That's what I want to check out and do, and play with all the stuff and things.
I'm not going to say what boat Jake was in, and it wasn't like an actual made for a river and all that, but he borrowed one that was, any kayak just to float, was great for him. He flew in, like I said, but he owns a shoalie, and he was telling me, he's like, dude, I have a whole new, he loves a shoalie in the river. It's just awesome, but he didn't even understand fully until he was in this kayak. And it was like, dude, that thing, wow. He's like blown away.
Well, I want a river-specific kayak this year, because last year I fished out of the PWR, both lakes and rivers. I've got the XTR as my scope and lake boat, but I also want to have something that's more throw and go, or at least smaller, so I can either put a motor on it or not. And so, a shoalie would be definitely something I want to start looking at playing with too, because I'm not brand loyal to anybody. I'm about promoting quality fishing kayaks, whoever makes them. And my goal is to help somebody find a good fishing kayak to start with, so they don't have to go through the progression that a lot of us did, trying out the lesser ones and then working their way up. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, JT, Josh Shrinko and the boys over there at Smalley Talk may have sniped you on one podcast early, the first one, technically, just whatever, an hour before yours. But I'll tell you something I didn't say on their podcast that I forgot about, that I did get permission to say, that I'll announce on your podcast here. There might be a new boat coming out as soon as this spring for Crescent, but a design that I did. So there may be a new one. So I'm just saying, you might who knows? We'll get you in a shoalie or something else here. But
Yep.
I think the shoalie might be a good one for you anyway. The awesome in a river, as Jake can attest, and lots of people can attest. Marty Hughes is in the comments saying that. Appreciate that, Marty. People love that boat, and it's probably not surprising that they love it, because I fish rivers and creeks, and I designed it really to be really good in that. So if you fish that water and
see, the funny thing is, around me, there's no smallmouth, but they are in our creeks.
Right.
And all the boats that I have right now are really kind of too big for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I need something kind of designed for that too. So,
yeah,
but awesome. I plan on being in at least 2 kayak adventure series this year, the one in Ohio. And of course, my wife from Minnesota, we're going to St. Cloud. So that's a 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So I plan on being at both of those as well.
So let's pull that up, and then we can kind of end on that. I've got I'm going to pull up the schedule right here. You got that on your screen yet?
Yep.
I can click. Here's all the events. If you guys go to kayakadventureseries.com, and then if you click on 2025 events, it'll show you all of them on one screen. And we've actually got, so Bonafide's back on as a sponsor, Native Watercraft. I got to add all the sponsors in here. Old Town, cool. Feel Free, New Canoe, Crescent. Probably missing somebody that trying to think who it would be. Anyway, everybody's like back on board, if not more, this year, which is awesome for the Kayak Adventure Series. And we got the new GoPro guarantees, and we'll get into that more in the KAS podcast. But basically, you just film with the GoPro and give us 2 of your fish on GoPro, trimmed up like I just showed you guys in this stream, and your payout goes up to 10 grand from what it would have been. So a few more little details of that, but nothing, nothing crazy. But anyway, that's pretty cool. And February 21st, 22nd, Ocalapalooza, March 23rd, that one-day shootout, the Sunday of the Bassmaster Classic. So you come to the Classic and then fish this event, or you fish the Bassmaster Championship on Fork and then come fish this event. Right after it's over. It's actually an hour from Lake Fork. This, Paris is. So if you don't want to go to the Classic, it's like 2.5 hours away back into Fort Worth. Just roll up there and practice, fish a one-day shootout, and maybe win 10 grand.
Very cool.
On that new Lake Bodart too. That's cool. South Boston Bassathon. We're doing a preview show tomorrow for that at noon for the Kayak Adventure Series podcast. So we'll preview that one tomorrow. Largemouth, smallmouth, all in play there. Even some Alabama bass or spotted bass. So that's May 2nd and 3rd, June 13th and 14th, the Great Midwest of us in Ohio. So not far from you at all. And that's Springfield. I think that one's going to be mid-90s. Even some people say that we can hit 100 inches of that event. It's crazy. Ohio's got some good ones in that area. Lakes and the rivers there. And then July 11th and 12th, the Ashigans, Mississippi Bronze Quest out of St. Cloud. And then August 8th and 9th, the Susky 5 Slamma-Jamma out of Bloomsburg. And that's a joint event with the Native Power Hour. That could be one of the biggest kayak fishing tournaments of the year, when you can consider $1,000 an hour for Native, and the whoever wins gets a nice bonus money as well, plus the KAS money, and it being a $10,000 GoPro guarantee. That is going to be a lot of fun. And then September 12th and 13th, Broodstock 2 over there in Franklin, Pennsylvania, with about 4 or 5 lakes in play, and the Allegheny. So big smallmouth versus big largemouth there. And trust me, there are some big largemouth in that area. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And that's the schedule, man. Raising money for autism anglers this year with all the raffle kayaks from all the sponsors. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Like Marty is saying that he's getting a shoalie rigged up for river use this season. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Mr. KBF member fishing a Bassmaster event, who's a premium member who did not sign up for the Yak Attack piggyback event.
Dude, I talked to Chad.
A little bit of money on the table.
I signed up for it to do that, and they're going to be helping. They're doing that with Kayak Adventure Series, and I'll have Chad on to explain it. It's just extra money he's given. It's all free. So if you're a premium member, it's all free, and you win I could have won like $600 worth of stuff if I had just submitted my fish. I just didn't submit them because I was so busy. Jake can attest. The Newport guys invited us to dinner. I'm rigging up. I didn't have all my stuff brought. I gave it to Joe, so I had so much extra stuff to figure out and organize and rig, and it was just chaotic that I never even worried and even thought about the KBF thing.
Look, dude, whenever you're so busy holding up a big blue trophy, it's okay.
I'm not worried about it. So
it's okay.
Anyway, Garrett Wade won. I think Garrett Wade won from Alabama. So Garrett, I'm happy for you that you got that. I'm not worried about it one bit. So I just was more doing it to kind of help show people this is what you could win. And
yes, sir. But I love the fact that we still have all the tournament series, Kayak Adventure Series, Bassmaster, KBF, everybody out there, he's still doing the things. There's plenty of events for everybody to fish all over the country. And tonight with us, we have one of the best that there is and has been, Mr. Drew Gregory. So congrats, Drew,
Thanks, man.
on another big win, and already starting a fight for that AOY for next year for this season. So you can't beat that.
Russ, I won it, and then Russ won it, and then he won it again. And I was a little bit like,
you guys are rocking
I was like,
and back and forth, so I love it.
But anyway, but I was excited, man. I've always just wanted to win one national event, and I know you guys out there are probably thinking, the same thing sometimes if you're chasing that dream, and then once you win one, you're like, and then I was like at the Hobie that year when I won my first one at Dardanelle, I was like, well, maybe I can win AOI, and somehow it happened, and I was like, because the next goal is to win an AOI nationally, and then when all this, and then like, well, I still won a championship. I'd never had a championship, and then that happened. So my next goal was like, can I get to 10 national wins? And this tournament, when I won, was number 10. And I was like, dude, no way. So I was already so stoked just to win the championship. I didn't care if I ever won again, dude. I didn't. Yeah. I'm getting, it wears on me. I'm getting older, we feel it, the older we get, but we're feeling it. And I got kids and family, and I don't fish that many events compared to most people. I fished 4 events last year. Yeah. But everyone thinks I fished like 10 or 12 because
it seems like it because you're always there. Yeah,
I ended up in the money and think all those. Actually, I was one spot out of the money at Gunnersville, but all the rest of them I did. Plus, I won the championship. But anyway, that was like one of my personal goals. Like, could I get to double digits? And just so fortunate that it was in God's plan. So grateful to everyone who helped make this whole thing happen, man. From Joe McElroy, Jake, Steve, and the whole Bassmaster crew just does an amazing job. So if you haven't fished a Bassmaster Kayak Series event, it's the highest level of fishing. It's fair, and they just do such a great job with it. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to you guys for covering it and covering Kayak Adventure Series the way you do, and the passion you have for the sport. And let's keep growing it and just having fun together and creating incredible memories while we're on this planet for just such a teeny little bit amount of time in the grand scheme of things.
Yes,
let's
sir.
love each other, and just keep growing it.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll let you get out of here, and I'll wrap up like I always do. Get outside when you can and make some memories. One cast at a time.
See ya.